The single dad boarded quietly and slipped into seat 16A, placing his small bag carefully under the seat in front of him. He moved with a calm, practiced ease, the kind that came from years of handling life alone. Around him, passengers bustled, adjusting overhead luggage and settling into their seats, but he remained still, eyes focused out the window. To everyone else, he looked like any other tired traveler. Simple clothes, no sign of anything unusual. No one noticed the quiet strength in his posture or the way he observed everything without drawing attention. As the plane taxied down the runway and lifted into the sky, the hum of the engines filled the cabin with a steady rhythm. The single dad leaned back, closing his eyes briefly, as if savoring a rare moment of peace. A few rows ahead, a child laughed loudly, and he smiled faintly, a soft reminder of the life waiting for him back home. The flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisle, offering drinks and checking on passengers. Everything felt normal, predictable, just another routine flight among thousands happening every day. About 30 minutes into the journey, something shifted. A flight attendant approached seat 16A with a slight hesitation in her steps. Her usual confident smile was replaced with a puzzled expression, as if she wasn't entirely sure what she was about to do. She gently called his attention and handed him a small folded note. The man looked at it for a moment before opening it slowly. As his eyes moved across the words, something in his face changed. Not dramatically, but enough to show that the message meant something deeper than it appeared. He sat still for a few seconds after reading it, his fingers lightly gripping the paper. His gaze drifted downward, and for a brief moment it seemed like the noise of the cabin faded away for him. The flight attendant lingered, curious but respectful, before quietly stepping away. Nearby passengers noticed the exchange, but quickly returned to their own conversations, unaware that something significant had just happened. The man folded the note carefully and placed it in his pocket, his expression now more serious, carrying a weight that hadn't been there before. Then, without warning, the pilot's voice came over the intercom. It was calm but carried a tone of quiet respect. He spoke a few routine words before pausing, then mentioned a call sign, one that meant nothing to most of the passengers. However, the effect on the man in seat 16A was immediate. His eyes lifted slightly, and he took a slow breath. Around him, a few people exchanged confused glances, unsure why the announcement felt different. The cabin fell into an unusual silence, as if everyone sensed that something important had just been revealed, even if they didn't fully understand it. Outside the window, the sky stretched endlessly in soft shades of blue, calm and undisturbed. Then almost suddenly, 2 F-35 jets appeared, cutting through the air with sharp precision. At first, only a few passengers noticed them, pointing quietly toward the windows. The sleek fighter jets moved in perfect formation alongside the plane, close enough to be clearly seen, yet steady and controlled. A sense of curiosity spread through the cabin as more people leaned over to catch a glimpse, whispering to each other, wondering what could possibly be happening. The jets held their position for a few moments, flying parallel as if escorting the aircraft. Their presence was both powerful and strangely graceful, a rare sight for anyone on a commercial flight. Then, in a synchronized motion, both pilots gently tilted their wings. It was not aggressive or showy, but deliberate and respectful, a gesture understood by those who knew its meaning. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Conversations faded, and even those who didn't fully understand the gesture could feel its significance in the quiet that followed. In seat 16A, the single dad watched the scene without moving much. As the jets completed their salute, he lowered his head slightly, his expression calm, but filled with emotion. His hands rested still, yet there was a quiet tension in them, as if holding back a flood of memories. He didn't look around to see who was watching, nor did he try to explain anything. For him, the moment was deeply personal, something tied to a past that remained unspoken. It was clear he wasn't surprised, only touched in a way that words couldn't capture. Around him, passengers began to understand that this was no ordinary coincidence. The whispers changed in tone, shifting from curiosity to realization. People glanced at the man in seat 16A with new eyes, noticing details they had missed before. The quiet confidence, the composed demeanor, the subtle weight he carried. No announcement spelled it out, yet the message was clear enough. He was someone who had earned that salute, someone whose story ran far deeper than what could be seen on the surface. As the jet slowly pulled away, disappearing back into the vast sky, the moment lingered. Inside the cabin, no one clapped or spoke loudly. Instead, a quiet respect settled over everyone. It was a shared understanding, unspoken but powerful. The single dad remained in his seat, looking out the window once more, as if returning to the present after briefly visiting the past. The flight continued on its course, but for those who witnessed that moment, it was no longer just another journey. It had become something meaningful, something they would remember long after landing.